Good afternoon, students. This is Mr. Cardinal on the mic. Today we're going to be using DesignCAD to create a site plan. So let's start by opening up DesignCAD by double-clicking on the DC icon. And we will be drawing this in imperial measurement. So we're going to change our units to feet as soon as this opens up. You'll be greeted by this window here. I want you to click on Drawing Units and make sure these are both in feet. Press OK and click the blank piece of paper and we'll start drawing. You can read the tip and then close it. And make sure you have the proper windows open. Now I have my zoom tools on the right. I have my drawing tools on the left, and then my standard tools on the top. If you want your ruler, you can right click anywhere up here and you can put your ruler on. Once I have my ruler on, I can tell if I'm drawing in feet. There's other ways as well, but this is just a quick, simple check. Okay, and we can get rid of that ruler at a later time. It just really takes up space, but we do like it to have it there at the beginning to make sure that we are drawing to the correct measurements. So to begin, let's open up our line drawing tool drawer and select the second line drawing tool, the one that looks like the number 2, the blocky number 2. And we're simply going to start in the bottom left-hand corner, that's where I usually like to start, by left-clicking. And you can see I'm connected now. And I'm going to hit point relative. Now, remember the long way for point relative is up here, point relative. And you can see the quick key is shown right here, and that is the apostrophe. So we'll be using apostrophe to get point relative from now on. And we are going to draw a lot that is 60 feet wide by 120 feet deep. So we're going to put 60 feet in DX, and you do not need to put apostrophe for feet because we're already drawing in feet. Now if we are drawing in inches, we would have to put the inch sign in this drawing, but at this time we're just going to be drawing in feet. So we'll just put in 60 and we're going to press enter, and we're going to press enter one more time to draw that line black. And then we will do it again. We will grab the line drawing tool and snap or right click onto that point and apostrophe, there's my point relative, DX is 0, dy is 120. Press enter and enter again. Now you can go to the right side and click on this fit to window right underneath the yellow cross here. Now sometimes there's a bit of a glitch in some of your programs where this won't show up. So you just click on these until you find this one right here and it will fit to window. And so you can see I've drawn my 60 by 120. Now I'm going to do this again. I'm going to get the line drawing tool, snap to the top end of this top line, right click, point relative, -60, tab 0. Tab takes me to dy, press enter and press enter again. You're probably wondering, why am I drawing these as separate lines? You can see that they're not combined. Well, that's important for when I start to parallel my lines, and you'll see why in seconds. Again, we're going to grab that line drawing tool, and in this instance, we'll just snap to the top and to the bottom and press enter. Now I can see that I'm drawing approximately right. There's my 0 and there's 60, so it looks like I'm drawing correctly. So I'm going to get rid of this ruler now. It doesn't serve me any purpose but take up space, so I want a nice clean drawing space. So I'm just going to click on that ruler, and now I have more space. I'm going to fit to screen so you can see it a little bit better. Now this is a 60 by 120 lot, and when you build on a lot, you have what's called building setbacks. So you cannot, so let's pretend this is the front sidewalk. You cannot build your house right next to the sidewalk. I don't think you've ever seen in your life a house that's right next to the sidewalk. There's something called setback. So the setbacks that I'm going to provide for you are 25 feet from the front border property line and 4 feet from the sides and the backyard. So let's do that now. Let's get the parallel tool. It's underneath the line drawing drawer. It's within that drawer. It's the 7th one in, the 2 parallel lines with a question mark on it. And let's start by setting that to 4. This is 4 feet. And we're going to left click near this line. Doesn't have to be right on it. We do not use snap for paralleling, and we're going to pull that in. And we're going to do that the same to the other 2 lines. Now remember, if I double click on the tool, it should stay up until I am done with it. I don't have to keep on getting the tool. Now I'm going to do the front 25, so I'm going to change this to 25 and pull this up 25. So this is my building setbacks. So I'm going to be able to draw a house, a garage, that should be in line with this. I usually don't go farther back than my front setback because it can be considered a waste of space. I like to have my backyard for extra things like sheds and gardens and decks and basketball courts and pools and things like that. So I don't want to waste space by putting my house too far back. Now, because these are temporary lines, we're just going to double click on them. And when you double click on them, it opens up an info box. So let's take and we're going to change these lines to hidden. And let's try a line scale of 6. See right there, that's 2. And then when I click with my left button, it'll change it to 6. So let's do that to all of them. We'll change that to hidden and a line scale of 6. Doesn't matter what you change first. There you go. And there you have it, your building setbacks. Now before we go any further, we haven't saved anything yet. Let's do that now. We're going to go File, Save As, and we're going to find that folder on your desktop. Now, you know what? On this computer, I don't think I've made a folder. Oh, well, not really. I'm going to make another folder. Before I do this, I'm just going to minimize this, and I'm going to create a new folder for this class. So let's call this, in this case, it's going to be a grade 9 class. So grade 9, 20, well, let's just go Mr. Cardinal grade 9. Let's do that. Okay, there we have it. And we'll just keep this up here. Go back to here. Now we have a place to save it to. So now we'll try that again. File, Save As. And click on the down arrow and find that folder. Save this as Site Plan. Save. When I minimize this and I double click on this folder, you'll see that Site Plan is located in the folder. So now that I have my building setbacks, I'm going to build a garage and a house on this property. So I'm going to start by building a garage, a double garage. I've got 2 vehicles in my family, so I'm going to build a garage that's 24 feet by 24 feet. So to do this, I'm going to use, rather than the line drawing tool, I'm going to use the box drawing tool. So let's click on the box drawing tool. And what you'll notice, I won't be able to snap to this point. It will want to snap to the end. And I need to start right here. So DesignCAD does not recognize this as a point. And actually I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. So it doesn't recognize this here as a point. However, there is a tool here called, these are all snap tools. Now if you don't have these tools here, when you right click in this area, you should have Snap Toolbox selected. See, I can turn that off or I can turn that on. There we go. So I have line intersect and intersection intersect. So these are the 2 I use quite a bit. So this intersect right here, when I click on it, a little box will show up where 2 lines cross. So this is another type of snap, and it's not a right click. My right click, the only thing my right click is just for my regular gravity snap. Once this box shows up, that becomes a left click button. So I'll review that with you. I'm going to press Escape. So what I did is I grabbed the box drawing tool, then I took my intersect tool, so I clicked those 2, then I came over here and that box shows up, and now I left click, and now you can see it's going to start drawing a box. Now I let go of my mouse at this point and I type the apostrophe or point relative, and I'm going to type in 24 on both dx and dy. And when you're drawing a box, you need two dimensions, right? You need to go up and to the right in this case. If we were drawing a box to the left and down, it would be negative and negative. But in this case, it's positive. So this draws a 24 by 24 foot garage. And it's a solid box. So that's exactly what I want. So now I'm going to zoom out to show you the proportion of the lot that it just took up. Quite a big chunk. And next I'm going to draw a house. Now I've already figured out that I want a house that's 1,440 square feet on the main floor. And I have some dimensions in mind for this. So when you're doing your own lot, now you're going to do this lot, and then right beside it, you're going to actually do your own lot. You're going to have to design your own house and garage. But in this case, I'm going to give you the dimensions. So let's go at it. Grab the line drawing tool, snap to this top left point. Now this is a point, so you'll be able to just right click, point relative, 0 dy, press tab, sorry, that was 0 on dx, dy is 18 feet, enter, point relative, dx is 48 feet, tab, dy is 0, enter. And now I can come down here and I can actually right click. Now what it's doing is it's sensing I'm going to right click to this point. And because I'm using the line drawing tool that does not do curves, it will just snap to this point. So I'm going to right click here and it will automatically snap to this line. I'm going to also come over here and right click and then press enter. So this house, if I was to do a measurement on it, which I can in dimension, if you go into info and you go into area, I can right click all the way around this here and it will give me the area of the house. And then I press enter and it says I have 1,440 square feet. We do not include the garage in main floor square footage. So you just include living space. Okay, so what I have so far is a house, a garage, and my building setbacks. And that's quite a bit for a few minutes of drawing. So let's save that again. Now that we've already named this site plan, we can just click on this little disk here and press save. Or we could have went Control S. Now let's put a deck onto our house. The deck is going to be a 12 by 14 deck, and let's put it about, let's go 4 feet this way. And we're just going to put a little starting point here. So with your line drawing tool, we're going to snap to this point. Point relative, 4 on dx, 0 on dy. Remember, we're always making sure this is last point all the time, all the time, all the time. And I'm going to come down. This is a temporary line, and I'm going to left click. I'm also going to zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. Some of you like to watch these videos on your phones. So there is my point. Now this point is what I want. And I'm going to draw the deck 12 by 14 the exact same way as I just drew the garage, except with different measurements. So with the box drawing tool, I'm going to right click to that point, go point relative apostrophe, and dx is 12. Oh, sorry, dx is 14, dy is 12. Enter. And there you have a deck. So we'll click on this line. We don't no longer need it, and press the delete key. And where is that on my, oh, there it is, delete. And we'll zoom out, and you can see now I have a house with a garage and a deck. And it's hard, once we have so many squares on here, it becomes difficult to know what's what. So let's start labeling these things. So let's go over to our text tool. And for our main labels, we're gonna put 1.5 for our titles. We'll put in house here, all in capital letters. And place that about here, somewhere in the middle. We are going to put garage for the garage. And we could put deck here, and it might be just temporary right now, but we'll put deck there as well. We're going to be hatching later and putting some fancy lines on here to indicate what's what, but we'll put that on there like that. The other thing we can also do at this time is we can put the sizes. So the garage is 24 by 24, so if we take our text tool and we go 24 by 24, 24 feet by X 24, and let's change our size to 1 and put that right underneath garage. Again, whenever you can zoom in, zoom in. So I'm going to just zoom into the area I'm working on. You can see it a little bit better, and just try to center that so it looks clean and neat and tidy. The house, we can't really give a number by a number because it's a kind of an L shape here. So what we're going to do is underneath that we're going to put square footage. So we'll just write in 1440. Oh wait, that's not where I want to do it. I want to actually do something new. What did I do? Oh, and now I erased it. Let's Control Z that. Oh yeah, I got it back. Sorry, I want to get that text tool. Now this little box shows up, and now I can type something new here, and that was 1440 sq.ft, so capital S, lowercase q if we can, just for space saving here. I just got to turn off my caps lock. Come on, caps lock. There we go. Square feet, that works there, and that size is 1, perfect. And we're going to put that underneath. Enter, so you just place it and then press enter. And the deck, for now, let's just put a size on there. And that is a square, or a rectangle, I guess. So let's just put 14. We're going to put the length, or the width, sorry, first by the height on all of these. And we'll keep that the same, 14 feet by 12 feet. And we'll place that right underneath there, just like that. Okay, and then, so what I did is I just clicked once, and as soon as I press enter, it goes straight. Okay, now I like to save every 5 minutes or so, so I'm going to save it again, if I like what I got. Now let's move on to the, let's do the garden. So the garden is going to be 12 feet by 16 feet in this corner. The garden is not going to be right against the, property lines, but it's going to be in this area right here. So let's just build a garden first of all. So I'm just going to build it and then drag it into place. So just left click somewhere here, doesn't matter really. And I'm going to type in point relative. This is going to be 12, and I think I said 16 for dy. And then I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to move it close to the property line because we're going to be building a fence later, so we don't want to be right on the property line. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a garden shed here, spaced. I'm going to space it 3 feet lower from this point. So I'm just going to take my line drawing tool, right click, point relative, and go -3 on dy. This is just a temporary line that is going to allow me to draw a shed that's in line with the garden. So we're going to take the box drawing tool, snap to this point. Now this time I'm going down and to the right. So point relative to the right is positive. So that was going to be a, sorry if I didn't mention already, this is an 8 by 12 shed. So this is going to be 12 feet wide by 8 feet. But negative because I'm going down. -8. There we go. I no longer need this line, so let's get rid of that by clicking on it and pressing delete. Okay, so that's looking pretty clean, pretty nice. Now, in this area here, I'm going to put some walkways in, going down this way and into the shed. And then this will also go down into the back alley. So let's zoom again back in. So I'm using the Fit to Windows Zoom tool. So I'm going to zoom in right like that. And I'm going to go 2 feet in like this. So I'm going to use my line drawing tool, snap to this point. And I'm going to go point relative, -2, tab 0, enter. And then I'm going to go down and left click. Okay, I don't like to draw a line just over a line without this, because then it's hard to delete and I have extra lines. And that can cause me some grief when I get into some very difficult projects, difficult drawings. Now with this line here, with the line drawing tool, I'm going to snap to this point by right-clicking. And I'm going to come all the way here, and I'm going to right-click to the edge of the property line, because this is going to be also a walkway to the backyard or back alley, so that I can throw out my garbage. So I'm going to right-click here and see what happens. Now, what happened is that it lined up to this. So I'm going to press Escape. I want it to go right, in this case, right to the property line. So what I'm going to do is go grab Line Snap. Now, when I grab Line Snap, I can come to that line and a box shows up asking me which line do I want to snap to. And I pick this one, and this now remembers a left click, not a right click button. So I left click and press Enter. This line here is no longer needed, so I delete it. If I don't need it, delete it. Get rid of it. It's just junk. And I want this to be nice and wide, so I'm going to make this a 4-foot pathway. This is my main pathway to the back alley and to my garden shed and to the garden. So we're going to get the parallel tool and type in 4. We're going to parallel this by left clicking on the line and going to the left, left clicking. Now I want a path into the garden shed. Okay, so let's see something here. Does my midpoint work on this? I haven't tried this before, but I'm just thinking I want to be in the middle of this. Does midpoint work? Oh, it does work. Okay, that should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my line drawing tool. Then I'm going to get M for midpoint. And I'm going to go, you can see that this little box shows up, and I'm going to left click. And I want to click to this line, so now I get Line Snap. And now I can left click to the line. Okay? So again, I'm going to do that one more time because it's fairly complicated. I grab my line drawing tool. Then I grabbed M for midpoint, and that box shows up on the midpoint. You can see it's showing up on the midpoint of all these lines, but I want it right here. Now I left click, and now I want it to snap to this line, so I'm going to go get Line Snap and left click on the line when the box shows up and press Enter. And now this is just a line in the middle, but I want to take and this is going to be the center of my walkway. So let's parallel that up and down 1.5 feet. So we're going to get our parallel tool, and we're going to change this box to 1.5. Left click on this line and go up and left click. And I'm going to do that again and left click and go down. So what I've created is a walkway that goes to the middle of my garden shed that's 3 feet wide because I went from the center line 1 foot up and 1 foot down. Okay, this middle one I don't need, so I'm going to press delete. Now I have space in between here that I want to get rid of. Now there's a couple different ways to do it. I might be able to break the line, so I'm gonna try that. I'm not gonna guarantee that's gonna work. So I'm gonna click on this. And let's see if I go to Edit, Selection Edit, Break Line. Does that work? No, it's still a continuous line. So the other thing I'm gonna do or try is I'm gonna zoom in to this area to show you this. Okay, if you press the letter D, it does what I call a rough trim. When I press the letter D, this section trim comes up, and I can left click and drag a square like this and just get rid of some of the line. Once I've done that, that just automatically breaks the line, and I use this tool a lot just to break a line. Now, why would I want to break the line? Well, because I want to trim this exact to this point. And there's many ways to do this. You can use this trim tool, or you can use this trim tool here. This is a line extension tool. This will make a line longer or shorter. So let's just double click on that. So you can see that I can make this longer or shorter. I use this quite a bit. You can see that I can make all these longer or shorter. So what I'm going to do is just snap to this point and make it shorter to this point and do the same here. Right click and right click. Okay. So that's just something that's just quick to do rather than trying to go through all of these selection edits and try different things and line edits. Sometimes these work, sometimes they don't. So that's why I just press the letter D and get rid of some of it by breaking it and go from there. Let's close this up. Let's max this out and see what we got. So we have quite a bit of progress so far. Let's save this. Press the little button here or go File, Save, or Control S. All do the same thing. Now I'm just keeping these temporary lines on for now. They will be deleted later. What can we do next? How about a walkway and a driveway? So the driveway is going to be obviously going to the garage, to the front of the property. So that's going to be simple. We're just going to draw a line from here to here and from here to here. Remember, this line is going to be deleted. So let's get our line drawing tool and right click here, and press Enter. We're going to do the same here. I can't guarantee you that it will snap to this point, but if I come over here and right click, it will line itself up to this point. So that's how that snap works. Now I'm going to take and draw a walkway into the house. The walkway is going to be 4 feet from the house down. Then it's going to be 8 feet in and then back to the house. So let's just start by getting a starting point. Snap to this point here by right-clicking. Point relative, 0 on dx, -4 on dy. And I'm just going to put a little tail on this and left-click and press Enter. This allows me to draw from this point and delete this later. So let's take the line drawing tool, right click, point relative, and we're going to go 8 feet and 0 on dy. And I don't know if I can right click here. Let's see. Nope. So if it doesn't right click, then you've got to go get line snap, find that line and left click, Enter. I no longer need this line, so let's delete that. And I'm going to parallel this to make a 4-foot walkway. It's my main walkway into the house. Let's make it nice and big. So we're going to take the parallel tool, 7th one in under your line drawing tools, and type that 4 in there, and click this over, open like this. Okay, there you have it. Now I can do some neat things with these lines. I can round the corners, so let's do that. Under here, there's some trim tools. Now you've used these before in your CAD 3 drawing. This first trim tool fillets the corners round. Let's try a fillet radius of 1 and see what it looks like. Okay, there's your 1 radius. I don't like it. Control Z. Let's try a bigger one. Let's double that. Let's try 2. Don't like it. So let's press. That's actually not too bad, but let's try one more size bigger. We can go 2.5. Let's try 3. So we left click and left click. That's more like it. I like that. Now we're going to do the same to the inside, but we're not going to use 3 because I'll show you what happens when I use 3. It doesn't match. So we're going to try just to visually match it. We're going to try with 1 and see what that looks like. Left click, left click. That doesn't look too bad. Let's see what, Control Z that. Let's see what 2 looks like. Left click, left click. I think I like 1 better. So we're going to go back to 1 and left click, left click. So that's just kind of a way that you can round your corners. You can fool around with that. Zoom out. Again, I've done a lot of work. I'm just going to quickly save that. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. There it is. Save. So we're pretty good to go here. Now, what else can I do? I can build a sidewalk now. The sidewalk helps indicate what the front of the property is. Pretty obvious with this here, but it will just help aid in the visualization of this. Actually, there's some properties don't have sidewalks, but in this case we do. So I'm going to zoom into the bottom of the property. This is going to be paralleled 4 feet for your walkway, your sidewalk. So we're going to, I already have 4, so left click and down. And let's draw the little cracks in the sidewalk. So this is simple. We just draw one crack. They're not really cracks. They're just lines, I guess. And once I have one done, then I can parallel them continuously. There's ways to do this quicker, but let's just do it the old-fashioned way with the 4. And you can see when I left-click, I can do my first line, and then the tool disappears and it goes back to my cursor. So let's try double-clicking on this line, or this parallel tool, and that might allow me to keep on doing it. Yeah, it does. And then I just left-click. Oh, and I did it wrong there. Let's do it again. And I keep on left-clicking, left-click, 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 and on until I'm at the end. And it worked out perfectly. I like that. The other thing I can do is I can draw a fence. Now my fence is going to be right on the property line. Let's start with a fence in the top corner, and we're going to draw a fence from this point to this point right here to the front of the property. So I'm going to zoom into that just like that. Nope, I'm going to zoom in way more. I'm going to first of all just zoom in right into this point so I can show you what we're going to do. Now you might want to watch this first and then rewind the video to try it, because it's a little bit confusing for the first time viewer. The fence posts are going to be possibly 3 inches in radius, a 6-inch post. Normally you would probably put a 4 or 6-inch post in the ground. Let's see what this 6-inch post looks like. So let's grab the circle drawing tool with a question mark, and we're going to put a radius of 3 inches. So in that case we have to go 3, and then we press shift and apostrophe, which gives us the quotation marks. And then when I move this, you can see it's a small little circle. The other thing you could type in is 0.25. So 3 divided by 12 is 0.25, and that's just how you convert inches to a decimal. Now I can right click on this corner right there, and there's my corner post. Now what I'm going to do is along the side, I'm going to put a post every 8 feet. So rather than drawing 8 feet down and making a point and doing it over and over and over again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw down once 8 feet. So I'm going to right click to this point, go point relative, 0 on dx, -8 on dy, and then put a little tail on that. Now you know whenever I put this little tail, it means I'm going to delete it later. This I'm going to array, I think about 14 or 15 copies down every 8 feet. Now I'm going to zoom out one more. Actually, before I zoom out, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to select this circle when I array it. So when I select this circle, when I right click, it doesn't select the circle. It selects this line. So I'm going to temporarily make that line shorter with this tool. So I left click near the end of the line and I just bring it this way and left click. And there's 2 lines here, remember? So I'm going to have to do this one twice because I have a line over a line. So I'm going to bring this one down, and if I refreshed it, you're going to see that line come back. Well, it's actually the line underneath it. So let's click on that again and bring that one down as well. Okay, now when I right click, it selects the circle. So that's basically why I just put these lines back temporarily. Now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to zoom back in, but on this time I'm going to just zoom in to about here, so that you can see what's going to happen. So what I do is I right click on this circle to select it. Then I go to this tool here, which is called the array tool. If I hold it down, there's different types of arrays. I want the first one right here. And it brings up this big window. Well, the only thing you really need to know is in columns, type in 14, and it's going to make 14 copies. And you're going to see as I bring this closer or farther away, those circles get farther and farther and farther away, but they're all evenly spaced. So if I had a point here to click to, they would be all spaced evenly. Here, let's just click to this to show you. So I'll right click, and it makes 14 copies all spaced right here. I'm going to undo that. So basically, I have it selected, I click on array, I type in 14, but instead of clicking way up there, I'm going to click on this 8 because I want my posts spaced 8 feet apart, and I right click here. And you're going to notice when I zoom out, there are 14. So I made too many. This one I don't want, but I didn't know how many I needed. I guessed. So I'm going to zoom into here, and I'm going to just delete this one. The other thing is this one is actually not in the right spot, but it's close to this point, so I'm just going to take, and I'm going to left click on it. I'm going to try to get it out of here. I'm just going to move it aside. The reason I moved it aside is so I can right click on it. Right click on it again to pick it up, and right click to put it down. There you have it. I have all my posts for my fence in line. They're pretty small, but that is true scale. So sometimes drafters make them a little bit bigger to show that they maybe show the purchaser that it's more, looks like a fence. In this case, we're just going to leave it at 3-inch radius. Uh-oh, that went wrong there. What happened there? I got to redo this quickly. Sorry, something happened. And I'm able to right click on it. Maybe I didn't press enter. That's what happened. Now I'm deleting things I shouldn't. Okay, here we go. Back to where we were. And again, I'm going to go back up to the top, and you're going to see I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to put these lines, actually I'm not going to put them back later because I'm going to be putting my fence this way. So I'll put those lines back later. Great time to save it. And poof, saved. Now let's scroll over to the other side and do the exact same thing. You should be a pro at it now. Let's start by grabbing that circle drawing tool. Our radius is already set to 0.25. Right click to snap to this corner. I'm going to go a little quicker on this because I've done it already. Line extension tool. I'm going to left click. I don't actually have to be in here, but I can left click on the line here and bring it out. Okay, so I can just be kind of, as long as it knows I'm on the line. There we go. Then I'm going to take, I could have done this before, I'm going to right click to the center of the circle, go down 8 feet, so point relative. Those numbers already in there, I like that, because that's what I did on the other side. Press enter, go to the right, left click, press enter. Okay, and now I need to shorten this line. So let's get that line extension tool, get on this line, bring it down. I'm going to refresh this just to know what's there, and awesome. And I do the exact same thing, but this time I know I only need 13. So let's do that. Let's get the line, or the oh no, we don't do that. Sorry, getting confused. Right click on the circle. Click on array. This time type in 13. And now come down to here and right click. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, beautiful. Now we just have to fix this one on the end. Now there is a point here. This line, even though it's not showing it here because it's hidden, this is just part of the gap. So what I'm going to do is going to right click on this circle and right click here just to put it there and press enter. Okay, so there's my fence on both sides. Now if you wanted to get really picky, you could put a fence post here as well, somewhere here along this line. I don't think I'm going to bother for this for right now, but I am going to put a fence along the back. In this case, again, you might want to put a fence post here and here. Why don't we do that at least so that it looks a little bit better? So let's go 6 inches to the left and 6 inches to the right. We're going to put a post here. So now I'm going to zoom in. So just putting some temporary points here. So this is at the end of, this is what I zoomed into. Just zoomed into the end of the walkway. So right click here and I'm going to go 6 inches to the left. So -6 inches. Or I could go -0.5. Tab 0, enter. And I'm going to put this up and left click and do the exact same thing to the right side. Right click, point relative. Now see how it converts it to point? So I could just put 0.5 in here. That's the same as 6 inches. And then I'm going to bring this up and left click. Now those are my points where I'm going to put 2 circles. My radius is already 0.25, so I'm going to right click that there. And I'm going to do another one on this side. There you have it. Now I'm going to take and I want to just measure what it is. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to delete that little line and delete that by clicking on it and pressing delete. Now I'm just going to measure to see what do I have from here to here. Oh, it's measuring it in decimals, so I'm just going to change this to feet and inches. 40 feet. So this actually is going to work out pretty good. It's pretty close to 40 feet. So this array at 8 feet is going to work nicely. Grab the line drawing tool, right click here, and then that did that work? Let's press this. Oh yeah, it did. It went to the middle. And go point relative, 8, enter, and up and left click. There's my spacing again for my array. Now when I right click here, it does select the tool. So I'm going to zoom into this so you can see. Does it select? Yeah, if it selects the circle, great. If it doesn't, we got to retract the line. So right click, it's got the circle. That's awesome. Get my array tool. I doubt if I need 13 copies. Maybe 5 or 6. I'll do 6. And I'm going to, actually it's 40 feet divided by 8. What's that? 5, correct? So let's do 5. And that I think will still be too many. So I'm going to right click here so you can see I've got these here, and as I get closer to this point, I'm going to right click and zoom out and see how that worked out. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. And this is going to be pretty close to that 8 feet because we did the calculation. I can now delete this. On the other side, I have, oh, look at that, close to 16. So you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do 8 feet from this corner, and it's going to be almost right in the middle. That's actually working out quite nicely. So get your line drawing tool, snap to this point by right clicking, point relative, we're going to go 8, go up and left click, enter. Now we'll get our circle drawing tool and we'll right click on this point, and that is the last fence post. We'll delete this by clicking on it, press delete, and I'm going to zoom into the corner with my fit to window and show you how to bring these back, these property lines. To bring them back, we just click on extend tool. I can snap to the end of this, and I can right click and it'll snap to the center of that circle. And I can do that here as well. Right click, and there my property lines back on. Now realistically you wouldn't build a fence right on the property line because this is in fact this post, unless you had an agreement with your neighbors. But even in this case, this is now on city property, so our fence post would be in, but for ease of drawing, we're just gonna leave it like this. Okay, and we're gonna do the exact same thing over here. We're going to take and extend this to the middle and extend this to the middle. Zoom out. Oh, I want to get rid of this. Remember that? If you haven't done that already, delete that since I'm zoomed into there. Okay, and now you saw what happened here. I'm going to put that back. It looked like I had this extended. I extended our temporary line. That's what happened. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to have to re-extend that to here. So right click and right click. Okay, so now let's zoom out and see what we have. Oh, I like that so much. I'm going to save it. Where's my save? There we go. Now this is becoming quite a long video. Let's see, what do I got so far here? 40 some minutes? Holy smokes. What else do I have to do here? Well, I have to do some hatching. Really, that's about it. So let's maybe save this now. We're going to stop this at this video, and I'm going to do a part 2 video for the hatching, just because it's getting to be too long of a video. So let's do that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in part 2.